The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, demands demilitarization of the area in and around the power plant. Currently, around 500 Russian soldiers are to be around the facility. According to Zelensky, the provocations will cease only after the Russian soldiers have left the power plant. Ukraine did everything to make this mission possible, but the terrible thing is that the occupiers tried to turn their activities into useless tours of the facility. Journalists from all over the world were to accompany the mission so that everyone could see the truth with their own eyes. Unfortunately, the occupiers did not allow them to enter the plant. The visit of international observers at the plant lasted only 2 hours. After its completion, the head of the mission, Rafael Grossi, left the facility yesterday. President Zelensky criticized the head of the International Nuclear Energy Agency for inconsistency in actions, despite earlier arrangements. Unfortunately, we have not heard the most important thing from the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is to call on Russia to demilitarize the power plant. Russia accuses Ukraine of shelling the power plant area, calling these actions nuclear terrorism. I can say with full responsibility that we do not have heavy weapons in and around the nuclear power plant. I hope the inspection of the International Atomic Energy Mission will find out for itself. Yesterday evening, as a result of shelling, one of the power plant's blocks, which supplied electricity to Ukraine, was shut down. Kyiv says the shots were fired from a Russian helicopter. A maximum of 2 members of the international mission may remain on the site of the power plant. At the same time, members of the mission were not admitted to employees who were constantly under the control of Russian soldiers. Earlier, it was reported that the Russians were to torture the staff.
We are finishing our long-awaited visit to the Zaporizhia Nuclear Power Plant. I have just completed a first tour of the key areas that we wanted to see in this first approach.
In the morning, the Russians shot at the center of Kharkiv. 1 person was killed and 3 were injured as a result of the shelling, while yesterday, on the start of the new school year, several Russian missiles struck a local school. In the Zaporizhia region, 20 towns were fired upon. In turn, in the Donetsk region, 4 civilians were killed as a result of the shelling. Russia has not captured the entire area of this oblast, although it has been making such attempts all the time. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, Vladimir Putin has postponed the planned date of the occupation of this area from August 31st to September 15th. In turn, the Ukrainian forces are successfully shelling the Russian military infrastructure on the southern front. All bridges on the Dniester can be under fire at any time, informs the Ukrainian command. The armed forces urge not to record areas of operation in order to make combat operations more effective. Our Air Force carried out 24 strikes on military grouping points, command points, support units, logistics centers, transport routes, and battle stations. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia has lost around 48,700 soldiers since the beginning of the war, more than 2,000 tanks and 1,100 artillery sets, nearly 300 rocket launchers, and nearly 200 cruise missiles. Meanwhile, the G7 countries approved a cap on oil prices from Russia. It was planned for December, but now the decision has been accelerated. Similar restrictions are also to apply to Russian gas. I am deeply convinced that the time has come to introduce a price cap on Russian gas delivered to Europe via pipelines. The border guard reported that over 24,000 people had entered Poland from Ukraine in the last 24 hours. In turn, almost 26,000 people left at 8 border crossings towards Ukraine. Since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, officers have cleared almost 6 million people wanting to cross our border.